Good afternoon and good morrow to thee, my loyal subjects. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're taking a look at Age of Empires 4, released earlier today on Steam for $60, and I've been spending most of my day playing it so I can accurately give you guys a video on it. But that's not all. Honestly, Age of Empires has been iconic for me. It was one of the first games I ever played, and one of the first games I ever obsessed over. I followed all the games and all the expansions and its versions and have been used to it used to connect me with my brothers and my mother. I'm so sorry that was so hard for me to get out, but it's a game that used to connect my family and I together for almost our entire lives. It's just always our go-to game whenever the family gets together and we just want to spend a few hours playing a game. It's always Age of Empires. So, with this newest edition, we decided to pick it up and give it a try. I normally don't do large AAA titles like this one on my videos for several reasons, but as I said earlier, I've got some history here, and so I just wanted to do a video just for myself. So here we go, let's hope this video is worth doing. Developed by Relic Entertainment and World's Edge and published by Xbox Game Studios, the game is defined as follows. One of the most beloved real-time strategy games returns to glory with Age of Empires 4, putting you at the center of epic historical battles that shaped the world. Now, if you don't know what this game is about, then all I have to say is, where the heck have you been? This is Age of Empires. It's a reference for all other RTS games. It's the game everyone compares to everything else. It's the standard, the groundbreaker, the big one. In terms of strategy games, Age of Empires has been the most iconic, more so than StarCraft, Warcraft, Red Alert, and so many others. It's simple but complex, easy but difficult, fun yet stressful. If you wanted to play a pretty overall decent real-time strategy game, then any of the Age of Empires games will scratch that itch for you, because they all do it very well. So, as always, we're going to take a look at the good and the bad of this game and see if it holds up, if it's improved on its old formula or repeated some of the same mistakes from its past, so let's get to it. First up is the negatives, because unfortunately, they're the first thing that struck out to me. I know, a shame, right? But the first thing that happened to me was a really long loading screen. I mean, you're probably going to be seeing it right now. This is where I'm thinking about putting it, but this is the long loading screen. I'm not going to show you the entirety of it because that would take up most of my video, but we're not going to worry about that. For now, just enjoy how long this loading screen has been, pretty much all throughout this particular rant. Not only that, but the wait time to finding players online can go on for a while as well. I mean, overall, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's still slightly over that line of just a bit too long. You pushed it a little bit too much, Age of Empires. Number 2, the simple gameplay and the overpowered units. I played a few matches online and I ran into the same problem over and over again. Players rushing through the ages and getting knights, then massing those knights, then using them to destroy the enemy bases early on, or, if you're lucky, later on in the game if you manage to live that long. It's an annoying tactic that I've seen a buttload of times in other games, but the thing is there's supposed to be a weakness here, so if I mass a bunch of fully upgraded spearmen, and they're the weaknesses to the horses, then I should win that fight, but I would still lose, even when I have a fort, which is raining hell down upon the enemy knights, and a horde of archers helping as well. And those knights had to push through a palisade first. The knights are too overpowered. By far. And it'll just be the same game for everyone who plays. Everyone's going to do the same thing. Mass a bunch of knights, charge at your enemy, win, rinse and repeat. Number 3. There's a serious lack of innovation here. The game isn't that much of an improvement over the older Age of Empires titles. Sure, it offers a few new things, which is really appreciated, but did it really offer anything worth that much? Well, for the most part, the graphics are only a slight improvement over what they previously gave us. And they gave us a new mechanic of allowing your soldiers to get on top of your stone walls and defend from there. They mount the walls. They changed the overall art style of the different types of units, so now your spearmen don't look like spearmen, but they look like peasants who have spears, which I don't really get why they chose to go with that one. But other than those things and a few other really minor changes, I don't feel are worth mentioning. The game doesn't really do a whole lot more to offer in terms of innovation or new gameplay or anything like that, and it's kind of disappointing. Number 4, the sound and the music. I was expecting a lot more in this regard. I mean, this isn't 2005 anymore, which is when Age of Empires 3 first came out. This is damn near 15 years later. And yeah, sure, I know that they've re-released other games and whatnot within that time frame, but not a whole new, all redone game like this one. This is a whole standalone game. It's not a redo, it's not a remaster, it's a whole new game. It's Age of Empires 4, it's the new next one. So, the music and sound effects, to be, just as impressive as 15 years ago, is disappointing. The fact that you can't do more is disappointing. I mean, you look at any game and its sequel, and if they've got more than 5 years in between them, the differences between them are amazing. It's like looking at Mass Effect 1 And I'm not talking about the remastered one, I'm talking about the original Mass Effect 1 and comparing it to Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect Andromeda. They're in terms of gameplay style, there's no comparison. So that's all I can think of for the negatives. Although that doesn't include me going super in-depth and getting really technical or specific or nitpicking or anything like that. I'll go over that more in the final thoughts section, but for now we're moving on to the positive points that I feel are worth mentioning. But first, I'd like to humbly request my lovely audience out there, this humble king of humbleness, the king of nothing that I am, request you to hear my humble plea. Please support my kingdom of literally nothing. It costs you nothing and you gain nothing. It costs me nothing and I gain lots. So, isn't that all that really matters? After all, I am the most humble of humble kings that controls absolutely nothing, so please, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave me a nice comment. It all goes to support my humility and my prosperous and obviously beautiful kingdom of nothing. Thank you. Now then, on to the positives. And the very first positive one that I want to talk about is this game's stability and overall smooth quality. The game ran like butter, which I was definitely not expecting. It ran so well, I was just waiting for the disconnect or the hard crash or something bad to happen, but nothing ever really did, at least not to me. The game is unbelievably stable and ran, once again, at least for me, almost perfectly. Now, if you had a different situation, I'm very sorry for you, but it ran really well for me, and I'm not using a super-powered gamer computer either. I'm not. I got a gaming laptop, which, as you know, are only, they're good, but they're not as good as a fully decked-out gaming desktop, which I don't have. Number 2, the game's online connectivity. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Mr. the King, if this game isn't that different from Age of Empires 3 or 2, then why should I waste my money on it? Well, kind peasant, allow me to tell you. The connectivity, the stability. These are simply things that you cannot get in those older Age of Empire games anymore. At least I never could. I could never stay connected, and my games lagged and froze and sputtered and crashed over and over and over again, making the whole debacle too frustrating to want to continue. But here, you won't have that problem. It stays connected, it stays stable, and this is a really good thing for a game like this. Number 3, the game has a tutorial. This is a good and a bad, but I'm only going to talk about the good for right now. I swore that from now on I'd always proclaim this a positive if it happened, and it did. They not only give you a pretty good tutorial, but they combine it well with the gameplay and its kinda story. So it helps you get invested and immersed while also teaching you how to play, helping you kind of just get a feel for it, and I'm liking all that. Okay, so that's all I got for the positives. Don't get me wrong, there's more for both positives and negatives, but I think it's just either a bunch of little things that I feel aren't really worth mentioning when I've got bigger things to talk about, or it would just end up sounding like me rambling on and on while trying to explain other things, and we ain't got time for that. So, I think you might want to wait for a discount. Now hear me out. Don't attack me all of a sudden, alright? For this game, there are definitely going to be two different types of people. The people who love it, the people who hate it, right? This game is more like Age of Empires 2. It is almost nothing like Age of Empires 3. So if you liked what they did in Age of Empires 3, well, they removed all of the things you liked. They removed it all. They got rid of all of it. They took away most of the different races you can play as. That's really disappointing. They took away the cool mechanics, like customizing your own capital city, or getting cards that help you customize and do your own thing with units or bonuses or whatever. They took away the intuitive UI design, and they both sped up the gameplay, and yet somehow slowed it down too. I mean, in Age of Empires 2, it was faster and more simple for faster, simpler gameplay. In Age of Empires 3, they added a bunch of new things to mess with, but still more or less kept the speed at a decent style. But in this game, they somehow combined both of those methods, but weren't focused on speed, so they were focused on mechanics, so everything feels like it's moving at a snail's pace, even though it's not. But man, I was just staring and just waiting for my spearmen to be built, and they were recruiting so damn slow. Anyway, this game is not as fast as either of those games in terms of troop movements, research, or recruiting, yet building of buildings is a lot faster. Odd. Honestly, it can be summed up as follows. It's basically just like the older versions of Age of Empires, mostly 2, except that there's less races to choose from, less innovative decisions for you to enjoy, just barely slightly better art style, and the UI isn't as intuitive as it should be. Not only that, but they somehow even managed to screw up my tutorial just a bit. I forgot to mention this, but the tutorial is mandatory. You have to do it. You don't even get a choice. You don't even get to go into a menu. You start the game and then automatically tutorial where you have to complete the first part before you even get to the main menu. That's dumb. So, if you loved Age of Empires 2 but wanted less options, you're gonna love this game. I just don't understand it. Oh, wait. No. Yeah, I do. mark my words, people, they released this game like this, with limited races, limited functionality, limited gameplay opportunities, and then a year down the road, they're going to unleash a new expansion pack for about $30, offering you a few new races, maybe a few new stuff. And they're going to do that like 3 or 4 times to squeeze out another $100 from you, just to give you races and mechanics that should have been included in a game that is 15 years since the last one they made. As far as I can tell, the races aren't even all that different, so why even bother? I don't know, I think the game is worth it if you wanted a modern day Age of Empires, but you won't be able to escape from some of its glaring negatives. At the very least, it's stable and secure and offers a couple of new fun things to try in battle, but those are going to wear off pretty quick, so then you're asking yourself if you just want a modern day but worse version of Age of Empires 2. And I want to clarify, when I say modern day, I don't mean machine guns and electricity, I just mean Age of Empires 2, but built with today's engines and graphics and whatnot. I honestly don't know. That's my catchphrase for this one, I guess, is I don't know. I'm probably not going to refund this game, but that's only because my mom, brothers, and wife are all very excited to sit down and play it, and no matter what I say, they're still going to buy it and play it because it's Age of Empires, and as I said at the beginning of this, it's iconic for my family. I can't not recommend. I'm just trying to give you all the information that I can to try and help you guys make your own decisions. I don't think it's worth $60. Not at all. Not when the other games are still for sale and still doing okay. But, keep in mind, I didn't play the campaign. I haven't played with my family yet. So maybe this is just a slightly biased opinion, as I was expecting it to just be a lot more. I mean, this is the first new real Age of Empires game in 15 years. Think about that. 15 years since Age of Empires 3 first released. And instead of giving us Age of Empires 4, they gave us a re-release of 2 and 3. And it's almost like they're either too afraid to take chances and give us something new, or they're not creative enough. So they took the formula of the second game, which is the most popular one, and they just updated it with today's graphics, changed a few things around, hoping we wouldn't notice. And it's so frustrating that we wait 15 years for a new game, an all-new game, and this is the level of effort they give us. It's almost infuriating. But take all that I say with a grain of salt. I personally don't think it's too impressive, and I feel like we should have gotten more. But does that actually make it a bad game? Not really, actually. It's decent enough. It's average. But it should have been above average, and I think that's why I'm so frustrated. But either way, I'd at least recommend waiting for a discount, because that's $60 for a lower quality yet somehow higher quality version of Age of Empires 2, a game that already exists and is already being sold on Steam for like $6. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching my video, and please do whatever you can to help support my channel. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, or if you're super ambitious, share my video. So thanks again for everything, everybody, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.